Hello, everyone. It's been a long time since I've shown my face here. Today, I am joining you with Debra, and she's a YouTube fam member and a YouTuber, actually, and an amazing person. We've spoken a lot via phone, text, so we kind of shared a bit about our histories, and we decided to do a conversation together about dating. Hi, Debra.
Hi, I'm excited for the conversation.
Super glad to have
I'm
you.
nervous.
Yeah. Well, it'll pass. So, sorry. So I want to read to you a bit about what Debra shared with me, just so that you get to know her better. She has a YouTube channel. Definitely check out her YouTube channel and find out more. But Debra Wielder, I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Wilder, like wild.
Okay. Is a meditation teacher trainer, and she has been teaching Tantra for over 10 years. She focuses on practices for solo before moving on to partner practices. Her website is solotantra.com, and she previously worked as a certified dating coach in Silicon Valley. She currently lives in Florida, USA. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we've been exchanging YouTube videos of certain YouTubers sharing about their personal stories with dating, being single, finding the right or the matching partners. And we decided to bring up this conversation because this is actually more people are interested in this talk.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I like watching a lot of YouTube videos. Not all of them I agree with. I'm sure, like the rest of your audience, sometimes you watch this topic of video and strongly disagree with stuff. I saw some videos that you recommended looking at, and they brought up some strong opinions and also things that definitely helped me think about my own self as well.
Okay.
And times are changing so much around dating and relationships in this, 2020, 21 world pandemic of people dating. How do you date? Should you live together after living together like a recluse for so long? So there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So we had a structure here set up, and after this video is published, we're going to put timestamps under the video, so check that one out as well. Now we're going to follow the structure just to make sure that we don't miss anything. So the first topic that we had set up for everybody: what do you want for yourself? Do you want to date? Do you want to be single? Do you want to not even consider this? Like, what is your intention for this? And here are some insights from us. I'm going to invite Debra, first of all, to share hers.
For my own self?
For you, well, actually, as a coach. So your insights as a coach to anybody having this question, okay, I'm going dating, but do I actually want to be dating? Do I want somebody new? Do I want to be alone? Do I want to casually meet people? So, what do you, like, how do you guide people if they ever approach you with this topic?
Right. I'm talking to some people right now because I also do online courses. I'm not sure what my YouTube audience is exactly. That's why it's good to ask the question. But the people that I actually do speak to that do my online courses are not all of them, but most of them are single, but they're looking to only date people that are correct for them. They're not looking to say waste time dating or get trapped in old patterns of meeting someone that's kind of cool but wrong for them, and it turns into a long relationship that eventually ends. They're looking for people that have done work on themselves, especially the last year, have dived into self-development. And for me, they've done work with Tantra or sacred sexuality. That's what my students are all about, that and energy work. But if they're looking for a partner, a new partner to date, they want someone interested in doing practices with. So people aren't doing just random dates, is what I find for people that I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So usually when somebody, because a lot of the people that approach me are single and they're dating, as in dating with benefits, and that's it, not necessarily looking for commitment. And some of the stuff that they have is around, okay, how do I get better at, how do I learn techniques? They're focusing on the very um, mundane, pragmatic stuff, or others that are in couples and in a relationship and they're kind of facing challenges. So that's when they start to take intimacy coaching, like consider it at least. And in every time I have a client, whoever they are, or a student online also, in all of my work, classes, videos, sometimes, what is it that you want? And how do you know that what you want is actually the best thing for you in that moment? I remember I wrote down at a certain point that some people are, especially in this situation right now, they're really trying to build up their material and finances side, because a lot of people
Oh,
have had, yeah, huge trouble with that. And sometimes when you're running around or putting in a lot of efforts to build up whatever you lost or whatever happened, because not everybody came out quite okay from this pandemic, financially
mhm.
speaking, materially speaking, maybe a relationship isn't, maybe you don't have enough energy for that, because a relationship does take time, a committed relationship. Maybe the other people that you're meeting, maybe you're, not everybody's in the habit of asking, so what stage are you in right now, and what do you really want, or what do you dream to have or aspire to have? It's not exactly a common question, when you go out meeting new people, what do you aspire to have in a relationship?
Oh, yeah.
That's totally my expression. I ask people, what do you dream, what do you aspire to? And it's super important. Sometimes people, when I ask them, okay, what is your intention, sometimes I hear like crickets for a few moments, crickets. And that's a very well, it is an intense moment to handle, basically. Sometimes you might not even know what you want. Maybe you're just going out of inertia. Maybe and it's worth looking at, maybe you missed somebody in the past, or you broke up with somebody and you want to replace the person, but maybe you're not really open to have somebody new. Those are subtle things. And usually a dating app or a date, oh, your cat dropped by. So somebody that you just met, maybe they're not the best person to ask you or get you in the place where you think about, what do I want right now? Do I want a relationship? Do I just want to meet people and hang out with them and just talk? People of opposite sex, people that are attractive to me, but that's it. Maybe
Mhm.
all I crave is some attraction and some sparks, and that's it. So it's important.
Mhm. Do you think it matters what age you're going on dates with? Because I know, uh, I started dating like, let's say 20 years ago, in college. Um, then it was taboo. It was not okay to talk about intentions. You were supposed to very slowly over months get to know someone before even asking what if they want to get married one day or have kids one day. Of course, there are some people that were more forward about it, but I think anyone over maybe 35 is still used to that, where they're not supposed to ask intentions unless maybe they've been divorced or they have kids, or if someone's wanting to have kids soon, and then of course they're going to bring it up, which frightens the other person. Uh, I will add in here, I'm very much for telling your intentions, and even before even meeting on the app or through friends, however you're meeting. But I think people that came from that age, uh, the older millennials or older than millennials, we were trained not to talk about anything like that, which I find to be kind of a waste of time. I would rather learn all about someone. Let's make the dating a little more futuristic. You could put it all in a computer for me. I don't know how young people do it. People that are 18 to 24. maybe they ask intentions over apps before meeting, or maybe, they're so young, they're not worried about intentions. If they get a girlfriend or boyfriend out of it, that's okay. But
Yeah,
um,
that would be my guess also. If somebody's in their 18 to 24, maybe they can share with us in a comment. How do you go about dating?
yeah,
If when we were 18 to 24, if we found somebody, at least I'm speaking on my behalf now, if I found somebody that was super attractive, I'd be like, oh, smitten, and then
yeah.
just go to the guy and, I don't know, hang out with him and see what comes up for me. So it was not goal oriented, basically.
Yeah, you're right. Same for me. It
Yeah.
was all about if I thought they were super hot.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, after 35, you kind of start to wonder, okay, where is this going? Where am I going?
Yes, and even more so for my clients, friends that are much older than me, that are getting to where they think about someone they're going to die with, like old age. They don't want to be left alone. So if they're in their late 50s or older than that,
Okay.
and they don't want to be alone, live alone. Some people love living alone, but if they don't want to be, they are dating with the intention of living with someone lifelong.
Hmm. Okay.
But I think most of our audience is probably 25 to 40,
Yeah, that's
mid
what I know
30s.
about. Yeah, that's what I know about the people that are here. Okay, so second point, how do you date? Online, offline, both, networking, meeting total strangers, a combination of that. How do we coach? Like, if we were to coach people, what would we tell them, about this?
Yeah, and I'm thinking more of the very present moment and future, like not what happened back in 2019,
Mm.
because I think we have to change this. Like if we've changed, we have to evolve and get used to this new type of dating. So now it seems, and I want to hear people's comments, read people's comments about this later, but it seems like we have to get used to either app dating or seeking out very precise places to meet people. Um, I love the idea of meeting people through friends. I've introduced people. Um, Two of my friends ended up getting married, living together, and opening this very successful restaurant that's been around for 15 years.
Ah,
Uh, and they were totally perfect for each other. They both were divorced with young kids and would have had, they had slim chances of meeting people based upon everything. And they both have crazy hobbies.
mm,
And they met at one of my little dinner parties and 15 years. So that would be my ideal, right? To meet through friends and your friends know you're perfect for each other.
mhm. You're
But
stupid.
do all of our friends know what is right for us?
Um, well, if they ask us, so if we make it a habit to, ask people, hey, where are you at right now? What are you looking for? What do you want? And not make them feel as if we're questioning them, just, sharing, finding out what's on their
Mhm.
mind. Maybe we can help them. It might work. I remember that I told my friends to not hook me up with anybody. In high school, I had a classroom mate. She and her boyfriend wanted to hook me up with a guy, a friend of theirs, and they set up a blind date for us. They thought we were perfect for one another. And when I met the guy, he was like sweet and a great guy, but I just was not attracted to him.
Oh,
And I went back and I told them, look, he's great. He's like, he could be my best buddy, but not attracted to him. And when I kind of showed them the type that I would go for, they were like, oh yeah, this guy is a sweet, like an angel compared to what you want. You want little devils, so can't help you there. We don't know anybody like that. So but basically I stopped people from, hitching me with others because I think that's, I never, they were always doing that by assuming what I would like and what I would need.
assuming.
Yeah. and they look at you and they think, she shows or he shows this kind of, I don't know, preferences, style, whatever. And somebody just like that. What if the person likes the opposite? Contrast. And what if the person is turned on by that? So, before we hitch people, I'd say, why don't we try to find out what's up?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, telling our friends what we like or having them ask and listen. Because you're right. A friend tried to introduce me or brought up introducing me to someone recently, and she said, "Oh, but they kind of drink heavily and party." And I'm like, "That's like the main thing about me. Like, I don't drink at all. If someone drinks a little, that's okay. But if they're a heavy drinker, for sure, it's going to be a bad match."
So basically, how do we date? Whether we go online, offline, both. I would say for anybody who's considering this, if you want to go for the online, I know that many people, unless they are into using the apps just for hooking up, and some people do that and they're pretty straightforward about it. But if you want a relationship, I'd say that, the apps might not be of much help because they're forcing a connection where there isn't one. Sometimes people do get lucky. It's like they meet exactly the right person with whom they not only have attraction, but they also, whatever dynamic that they want or dream of in their
Mhm.
relationship, they get that. But
And if it's very specific, like only for, say, Jewish dating or lesbian dating, if
mm,
it's very specific and the app asks lots of questions, then it's more possible to meet someone through, but just through, say, Tinder or Bumble, I agree with you.
yeah, I'm using Bumble right now. Not making much progress, though I did meet a lot of people that are like great people and I
Yeah.
definitely talk with. But I stuck around with Bumble long enough to see, okay, what is this experience? Like, what can it bring to me? And this is the longest. It's like I've been over a month on this app. I proposed myself or set up for myself to last on it. So don't go bonkers. But I definitely prefer meeting people organically through friends, events, hobbies. That would be ideal. So that's the best way to go about it, if possible, with what's going on. Okay. So now we had a few points that are going to hurt some people. Or at least their heads are going to hurt when they hear it. So zooming in on dating, we actually have a list of topics. And I'm going to read the list and then we'll tackle each one of them. Red flags, needs, what do you look for when you are dating? Do you have any patterns when you manifest or you attract people? What do you talk about when you first start dating somebody? What are your expectations when you're dating? And when you talk about intimacy, also, how do you talk about it? Okay, so we're zooming in on the dating process. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the red flags, first of all. Okay, we were discussing this about when we go dating with people that we're just starting to know, how do we spot, first of all, red flags? How does somebody have that process for themselves? And what we wrote here was whether we're trying to change the other person or not, whether somebody's into polyamory and the other person isn't, whether somebody's a virgin, whether somebody dislikes the other sex, whether somebody expects sex on a first date, any gender specific roles that people are, fixed on, and so on. So these are some of the red flags that we were considering. But the idea is, how does somebody, like, what is our process for identifying our red flags? How do you, like, when somebody tries to, they approach you with coaching, how do you go about this topic, red flags?
Well, I know for myself and you, we ask a lot of questions, but I'm thinking like, how would a general person that's watching this YouTube video go about doing that without feeling like they are quizzing someone or like I'm quizzing. I'm more direct these days. But I feel like people that I meet like that
Mhm.
because these are people that have, say, done work with intimacy. They've taken a lot of workshops or online courses, a lot of communication type courses. So as long as I approach it in a relaxed way, then people are totally fine with asking a lot of questions.
Okay. I'm first of all looking at their personal red flags. So if
Oh,
somebody,
personal. Yeah.
yeah, like they have their own, like their stuff that they might have, and the other person might pick them up. The stuff about changing people, it can come up in so many ways. And that's
Mhm.
usually because we don't understand the other person's boundaries, or we don't think about that. We don't, and nobody or few people bother to ask the other person what do they want, what is important to them, and so on. So usually the mirror of a red flag, you can see it through, okay, what do you show an interest in the other person, like what is important to you to find out about them. And whenever you don't, if you don't check these things, like where do they see themselves, what is important for them, how do they feel, like where do they want to grow into, it's sometimes it can be like very softly a red flag because maybe at a certain point you don't consider that the other person wants to transform in their way, and
Mhm.
you might not like it. Hello. So
The
that
thing that pops up for me there is when you first meet them in person, either you casually bump into someone on the street or you go on a first date with them, is it's a red flag if they control the conversation. If they either ask too many questions or they only talk about themselves. I've noticed people that are like that later on are the type that have more gender specific roles, like the woman has to do all the cooking and cleaning and can't have a job, or the woman isn't supposed to talk at all. Um, if the other person, yeah, if the other person controls the conversation, that's an initial first date red flag for me.
mm-hmm. Okay.
And other red flags I look for when I'm first meeting someone is their body language, if they look away a lot, especially dating, if they were out in public. Of course, hopefully I'm meeting someone in public, right? Not inviting them to my house, never knowing them. If they say stare at other girls and keep checking out other people,
Wow.
it's okay to notice other people, of course, but staring, and you'll notice people on dates do this sometimes. So I'm looking for body language and eye contact, like how they go about that
Mm-hmm.
before even getting deep into conversation.
Okay. Yeah, it's super important to like picking up red flags, definitely an important skill for everybody to develop. So,
And I don't want to make people nervous because people aren't overly judging you unless they're a judgy person. Because we're all nervous before meeting someone or when we meet someone new.
mm,
But it's about learning to be in the present moment, maybe taking a few deep breaths or something and relaxing.
yeah. And having the courage sometimes maybe to ask a question that can clear it up for you. So that's also like when you have something, a suspicion that maybe something is off there, you can just ask the person. Okay, so then we were looking at needs. Like, do you need space? Do you need somebody who's more physical, somebody who's, balanced in that, somebody who's more talkative, you know, what is somebody who's more intellectual, somebody who's more primal? Like, how do we, in dating, how do we go about figuring out, our needs and if the other person can meet them? Hopefully without interrogating them.
Yeah, how do we find out if they're touchy feely or the other things? How do
Mhm.
you do that?
Well, from my part, I would say you simply look at the person's body language. One, two, you can figure that one out based on the where you decide to take them on a date. If you're gonna sit in a tea house somewhere, mainly you're gonna talk, and you gotta handle somehow those. If there are some awkward moments, you will see, somebody doesn't really talk much at a certain point. How is the void filled? Or simply through the discussion, especially if you're not taking somebody out on a hike. I don't know how many people decide to go on a first date with somebody, like walk in the park,
Mhm.
play ping pong as a first date. Yes. Um, Horse riding as a, yeah, why not? Who says on a first date, like talking about gender roles, okay, date fixed scenarios, do we have to go for a coffee or tea or
Oh,
dining out? We can go for activities. We could go for, taking a kayak on a lake, you know. We could go, I don't know, jogging. Some people do, they jog on dates as a first date if they have a common. I'm
if
not,
they're both.
yeah, I'm not sure how many people take their part, like their date on a Brazilian jiu-jitsu training
Oh,
or workout. That is very touchy, that's like full physical contact. A lot of it is happening on the mattress. So
oh.
yeah, you didn't know? They those people roll around on the mattresses.
I just wasn't thinking of it as a good first date option
Well,
because of the competitiveness,
um,
being
well,
and being choked by the other person.
unless you're into choking.
Uh,
Some people can take them on a yoga session, let's go for a yoga session the first time, or a breath
yeah,
work session. So you can go for activities also. And
yeah.
based on
Actually, that's mostly what I've been doing. I was living in San Francisco, and everyone's first date there has been going to a park or going on a hike until maybe the last few weeks. It's
mm,
became normal, which is nice also because you don't have to spend money, buying a coffee or a meal when you might not click with that person.
yeah, that's also true. So I would say that you can find out from, how you decide to have your first date, what you want, what activities are going to happen. You can figure out what the person is like. Or when you decide on, okay, where do we go on a first date? You kind of figure out what is important for you, what is important for the other person, where do you meet halfway? And those are some things. And the another way is simply to talk and ask them later down the line of dating, what is important to you in intimacy?
Um, yeah, not everyone knows. They have to think about unless they know they're super intimate.
Ah,
Sorry for all the cat hair.
don't worry.
But the reason we brought this up, I won't say his name, but a big YouTuber said he kept attracting women that are not into being touched. They're not touchy feely. And and he's over and over, that's what he attracted. I think most people are probably average and touchy feely, or they like being extra touchy feely once they know someone. Um, I was a bit surprised because I don't know many women at all that I would say are not touchy feely.
Hmm,
So he's saying it's a red flag for him. He makes it a priority that a woman likes being touched and giving affection.
hmm. Yeah, that's we would normally you clear those up through a very light-hearted discussion where it's not heavy. You just try to see what the other person wants, needs, how they, their love languages basically. And then you also look at their sexuality blueprints, and then you figure out their what they want and what they consider important for them. So that is definitely more down the line of dating. In the first few dates, you just look at the initial signs. Okay, is this person gonna take me to a book launch? Because some people could do that. Or are they gonna take me to a fitness workout, to a gym, to a swimming, I don't know, for polo just to watch? Or maybe we can just go for, yeah, in a pool. or amusement parks. I don't know. Are they open now? Are they? Okay, because that would be awesome right now, amusement parks having fun and excitement
Oh,
and
yeah.
adventure. And adventure
Yeah.
parks, not bungee jumping or skydiving. I wouldn't do that on a first date. Like, not if you want to freak out the other person.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, now let's look at the repetitive patterns. So we did talk a lot about this, how when we're in the dating game, how we might attract or manifest people that kind of have the same, with whom we end up in the same dynamic, basically. So what do you say, or what is your guidance or insights for people who maybe are facing this situation?
To work more on themselves. And of course, being a Tantra teacher, I always encourage doing a daily practice before going anywhere, to increase their radiance, to, if they're looking to date or meet people, visualize who they are themselves and who the person is they want to attract. But that's a deeper dive, mostly doing practices to just feel lighter and more radiant. If someone loves dancing, then do dancing every day to open up your body. Work on themselves and get a clear picture. But beyond that, I don't know what to say a lot. If someone keeps attracting the same type of person, that's wrong for them. Sometimes it's clear to see why they're attracting that person. They haven't removed a childhood issue. Like maybe their mother wasn't touchy-feely. And if they don't remove that, they're going to keep attracting women that are not touchy-feely.
Okay.
So looking at our childhood, working as much as possible on ourselves. And then from there, I don't know, I want your input on why you think.
So one thing that I do work with cognitive processes also, not that much. I'm mostly focused on somatic practices, but at a certain point, when you keep repeating a pattern and you can't pick it up, you definitely have a blind spot there. And that's where I encourage people to seek maybe the help of a therapist or a psychologist or somebody with whom they can sit down and really, in a way, get to the bottom of it. Okay, what is there that they're not seeing? Because there must be some kind of, usually people interact with us based on what we inspire in them. So it's not that one person is bad or the other one. No, it's just that the dynamic that the two of them create leads in the same place. And usually that's because both of them have a contribution. And it's a lot in how they pick up, or maybe just can't see, they miss some signals that if they were paying attention, maybe somebody gets aloof like pretty fast because they showed less and less interest, and the other person doesn't pick that up, and they're so attracted or thrilled with the person, and they just carry on in the interaction. And sometimes maybe you're not 100% attracted, maybe you're like, I don't know, 70 or 60%. So the two of them connect and click on the long term, but then lack of involvement from the other person will show up because maybe it was never fully there, and neither one of them had the presence or the awareness to see it as it was and acknowledge it and stop maybe earlier on. At other times, it's what we say or how we react to completely harmless things, but how we frame them can put off the other person and then can trigger a behavior that it's not their own. But they don't understand why they're reacting the way they are. You project so these are unconscious behavioral patterns that we have.
Yeah.
No matter how much meditation you do, until you have somebody help you see your blind spots, because sometimes it is really, really hard to see your blind spots. That's why an objective view from somebody can really, like, somebody shines a light there and they might see something, and you have a better chance of having that brought to your awareness, but not through the painful repetition of patterns, because this is what happens in relationship. We are being shown in a more encoded way where the problem is. That's why the relationship keeps going in the same place. But through therapy, it's not, we're not emotionally invested, and we don't lose a life partner when we shine a light on the problem and we see it as it is, and then we start approaching it. So it's the less painful way to work on your stuff. That is the only thing that I can say.
So going to a therapist and say, hey, I always attract this type of partner, and then they help me work on that.
Contemplation,
So
dialogue with somebody, yeah.
what about body work, massage for, releasing energy or releasing stuck parts of the body? Can that help at all, do you think?
Yes, if the person is open to that. Because if they are not, I've had a few people seeking coaching from me, and I do some very simple bodywork practices, breath, awareness to what happens in the body, sensations, and so on. Really basic. You sit on a chair, you have your eyes closed for a few minutes, and I guide you through a short process. And some people just don't feel anything, and they laugh at the process. And I don't judge them. I keep
Oh,
telling them,
wow.
I explain to them, okay, this is not the method that will fit you or suit you or help you. Pretty much. It's not that they're bad or anything or shut down someone. No, it's just that it's not their way of tackling issues. Some people might go for releasing tension through intense workouts, jogging, um, some people through sex. Okay, some people do that. There's a
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they release tension in that way, and that's it. But they don't necessarily process it. They just feel better at the end of it.
With the chemicals, endorphins.
What?
But it can, with some people, jogging can help release energy. Yeah. But with some people, like lifting weights makes them feel good, but it kind of drives the emotions and energy deeper in. I've heard a lot of stories of people having, deep healing through having body work done.
Mhm.
And I've definitely experienced it for myself. It hasn't helped with everything, but I was open to the body work.
In my case,
First, you have to find someone that you're very comfortable with and that's also very trained in it. I teach people to work with chakras, and it's the same thing. Everyone can do the same chakra meditation and get different results. Most people are going to be so helped by it, but there'll be some people that are not open or they resist it and it doesn't do anything. They just sat in a meditation or they just said the words of the chakras and it didn't do anything. So it's similar to the body work, I guess, in that you have to be open to it.
Open, ready, at the level where you can actually process that. Probably. Yeah. Okay. So those are multiple ways of working on your repetitive patterns if you ever, whoever it is that might be facing this situation. Okay, so we're going to move on because I think we're running out of time right now, but let's look at expectations. I think that's very, very important. So what do we expect when we date? What are our expectations from people? How do you help people, like those that you work with who are single, if they ever approached you on this topic, how do you help them figure out their expectations?
That's a deep dive, but I used to actually have a written spreadsheet type checklist with also numbers of importance, 1 through 10.
Okay.
So I would get a little more data from them directly rather than having them just think and wonder in their mind, like very specific questions, which I'm not sure if I have that anymore. But I think we have to ask our own self all these different questions to understand what we want and then what we're looking for in the other person. If we're looking for a serious relationship, which I think we probably all are.
With very few exceptions, yes. Some people are naturally celibate, but those are very, very rare. So
Right. And the non-celibate people that just want to be single and have fun, be clear on those, or be clear that they are only looking for polyamorous, not try to change monogamous people. Like if you're just looking for fun, then be clear about that.
yeah. So in my case, because I have a bit of a narrower field, a lot goes around, okay, do I want to sleep with somebody on a first date or in the first few dates? Or if I go out with somebody and they pay for dinner, do I have to sleep with them? There's a lot of pressure nowadays on this trade aspect of dating. Somehow the spirit of dating is, I feel that the classical spirit of dating is somehow gone. People look at it as a transaction. Okay, this person, I want them for a round or two, and I'm willing to invest as long as I get my return on investment. And some people will get upset or disappointed if they go on a date with you and it doesn't lead anywhere after that. So a lot of this is influenced also by the dating apps. A lot of them are just hookup apps, and they take you in that very awful place where you see a photo, and based on a photo that they show you, you say, so I want this person for, I don't know what. But then in interaction, maybe you're not attracted, they're not attracted to you, and or something just doesn't click like it should. And people get their feathers ruffled because they actually had expectations.
Yes.
When it comes to commitment, here, I think it's what, I mean, aside from having somebody like give you a checklist, I think that's awesome. If you ever find that one, I'd be super interested to looking at it. But I feel that sometimes it's important before you start launching yourself into dates, go back to question number one. Do you want to date? Do you not want, do you want a relationship? Do you want to be single? Are you in the place where you could commit? So I think that a session with somebody, a counselor, coach, therapist, you might get a lot of clarity simply by discussing with somebody and, you know, going around the topic from multiple angles. Hello. So that's the best that I can like encourage people here. It helps have so much.
Yeah, and by relationships, a real relationship, just not someone you're having sex with for months, that nothing will ever come from.
Yeah. How do you tackle that with somebody?
Well, I think everyone knows themselves, as long as you're not getting confused because you're so attracted to someone you just meet. But before you meet people, you know what it is. It's possible you could change your mind, but I think it's something you have to ask the other person. Of course, if you're meeting on Tinder, I automatically assume they're not going to be looking for anything because Tinder is a hookup app. Yes, sometimes people do end up in relationships from that, but I think they're always going to have in their back of the mind, oh, I met this person on a hookup app. They're not going to think about marrying that person one day. And I was just listening to this podcast by the most popular matchmaker dating coach around. She's a bit older, it's not someone for coaching, maybe Gen Z people, but she says, you can't have sex on a first date for a woman, at least with a man. Gay relationships would be different, but with dating men, if you have sex, she actually said within the first month that he will always consider you as being too easy. they want something to work toward. I'm not sure I agree with 1 month of dating, but definitely, within a few dates of meeting. First date or the first handful of dates, they're always going to have in the back of their mind that the woman was too easy. With 2 women dating, it's a bit different, but male, female, definitely he's going to be thinking about that, which has been difficult because, well, I'm a very sexual person and I want to know if there's sexual compatibility, but now I've learned there's other ways you can kind of feel that out. But I have clients that are different. Like a lot of my students live in India, so the way they date is different. Especially right now with many things closed, so they're typically spending much longer getting to know someone. They are probably having like an Ayurvedic chart done for astrology, not some of them. So they're diving deeper into this. I'm not talking about arranged marriage, but like dating in India, they get to know people much more. Like they're still dating like us Westerners, but they ask far more questions and they're far more direct. That's actually my ideal. But when we're talking about, not having sex on the first or second date with them, in certain countries, it's more shocking to even consider that.
There's a book that is kind of famous or picking up speed in Romania right now, and it's translated from English. It's written by Steve Harvey. Think like a man, act like a woman, or act like a woman, think like a man. And Steve Harvey in that book recommends that 90 days you don't give the guy the cookie.
90 days. Wow.
90 days, 3 months, basically. He's
yeah.
or baby boomer. I don't know what he is. He's in his 60s.
Yeah, I guess part of this is so that you get to know each other, so that the guy doesn't think the woman is, say, too easy, too promiscuous. But the other reason is so you're not just addicted to the chemicals, the dopamine and such.
Yeah. So, yeah, expectations are really different. This one is really, really delicate to tackle. I think you would have to master the art of communication on dates to navigate this one, to figure out the expectations. Unless you're somebody who's an empath or highly intuitive and you can feel into the person also. Some people do that. Right?
Right, yeah.
You just feel into. Okay. All right. So let's end here, shall we? Because I think we've exceeded the time we gave ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So ending on a positive note here. We have 3 questions, and we're going to try to answer them very briefly. The first one is, how can you improve your dating experience? This is us helping people or giving insights to anybody watching how they can improve their dating experience. Shall you take us?
My thoughts would be very clear on what you're looking for, but while having fun at the same time. I also believe in having a clear picture of who you're looking for around intimacy and kind of way of life. I will give the example. I have a student who wanted to meet and marry someone who did Tantra practices or were at least doing something similar to that. He met and married someone like that and didn't try to date anyone else. So that would be like my perfect example. Like if you have something like that, then hold out for that person. And then around meeting people, if you want to try apps, then try them, but maybe give yourself a time limit. Or if you see yourself getting depressed using an app, just swiping through people, then get away from it. I love the idea of meeting people in workshops. I've always met the best, and workshops are typically full of only single people.
Yeah. True also. Okay. So in my case, basically it would be to how I would encourage people to improve their dating experience. First of all, get really clear and maybe seek some support here into getting clarity on what it is that you want. Because I find that if you have that clarity, and you, by clarity, I also mean that maybe you remove some of the blind spots that you have around that, some of the stuff that maybe you're doing that is not so okay, the how you're going to go about dating will be so much easier. It will just, when you're clear on something, the experience is smoother. Yeah. So, and sometimes it can be downright to, I'm not going to date right now because I want to work on something else. And that takes a huge load off your shoulders sometimes. Maybe you are better off sometimes dating.
Yeah, I will add in here though, since you brought up all the people that are working on their finances or who are unemployed right now, that maybe they should kind of give themselves a time limit. Because if they have a new business or working on their finances, they can't say keep doing that for say 5 years. Maybe get say for 6 months or 1 year, I'm going to focus on my finances or my new business, but not continue it indefinitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, deadlines are important at a certain point. Yes, I agree there. Okay, second question. Why is it important to have a relationship, or have that relationship be it as you need it to be? So maybe somebody wants to be single and they need to state the decision and not waste time considering dating. So why is it important to have a relationship, essentially? On a
Well,
yeah.
think about, and I'll give some examples so people know what we mean. Humans need touch, we need intimacy. Hormones and orgasm are very good for our health. If we want to have children, if we want a long-term partner.
Okay. Yeah, so from my perspective, very few people are actually happy on their, like, with no intimate relationship. Most of us want the connection. Okay, we're not made to be recluse. And it might be like everybody might have a different definition of what a relationship is or what it should look like, but most people want to be in relationships. And I think that it's important to clear this one up, because sometimes when people are turning down others, they can say, I'm just not looking for a relationship right now. And then the next week or next month, they end up being committed to somebody different.
Mhm.
And that can leave a person wondering, well, why did they say they didn't want a relationship? And then, so sometimes, especially in the younger years, like people who are in their 20s, and they say this to others or others say this to them, it can mess them up for a while.
Oh,
I went down this very rabbit hole in my 20s and early 30s because I was interested in some guys, not everybody. So there were specific guys that I was interested in. And they would all tell me, I'm not looking for something committed right now, and you seem to be. And
because you liked the demon devil boys.
shortly after, they would, some not only committed, but a few of them married. And I
What
was,
type of people did they marry? Were the women very like more forceful about dating?
no, they were really, really, I mean, those that I've seen, because I haven't seen all of their partners, I just heard about some.
Mhm.
They were much younger of age, and they were not like me. And that's when I concluded that,
No.
it's not that they don't want relationships, and it's not that it's wrong to have relationships. Some people don't have the courage to tell you, maybe I don't want you in a relationship. I want a relationship, just not with you. And it's really, really painful sometimes to deliver that to somebody. But it is important to clear up that everybody wants a relationship. So there's no such thing as unless you're a monk living in Tibet and aspiring for illumination. Otherwise, you're probably going to want a relationship at a certain point. And they are important. They are part of our making, you know, as human beings. Okay, and last question. What can you do to attract the best relationship?
Well, this was my idea for this because I love doing practices to increase your radiance. Like I mentioned, dancing is great for that. Any kind of dance that you enjoy. Certain types of yoga, like Kundalini yoga, Tantra yoga. But I do just a quick radiance meditation, which is on my YouTube channel titled that. But people just sit and they envision like a radiant aura around them. And there's different practices someone could do, but making themselves feel more radiant to attract a relationship. But I will also get more about appearance, physical appearance, because I believe like if a woman say she feels more attractive wearing lipstick or wearing a certain color clothing, then do that. You know, put on lipstick before you go out into the world, and you will just instantly feel better if that's something you like. Or putting on, you know, a pink clothing if that's what you feel, you know, sexy and open in. Like if I put on all black and I go out, I'm probably going to feel myself. I know I'm going to feel a little, you know, goth. I'm not going to be into talking to people. Or if I'm in like holy sweats or my dog walking clothes, I'm not as open and say sexy feeling, right?
Well, it depends. If you wear shorts, like short shorts, I do that when I walk my wolf. Not so bad. If somebody picks me up, I'm like, I know why. It's not because of my wolf.
Yes, and they're getting to see the real you.
Yeah, I usually don't wear makeup and anything. I rarely put on makeup, so I act natural. I yell at my wolf and all that. So it's like me in all my splendor. But I feel that a lot of people actually attract better when they're being themselves because they're relaxed. They're not stiff in a way. So open or relaxed posture, open or relaxed attitude,
Yes.
more receptivity, which is amazing, and maybe even more like the vision is how do I say this, larger. They pick up stuff when they're relaxed and they don't have a goal, much better, and they can notice people, cafes, anything, you know, they can lead them on a different path or just interact differently with others.
Yes, that's a good way of saying it, being more open. My perfect example is if you think of a belly dance woman, they don't have to be wearing belly dance clothes, but if you see them walking down the street, their body is so free and open and their energy, there's just something different about them. Like, and they attract people. It doesn't matter their age or body shape or what, if, you know, they're not in belly dance attire. There's just something different that people notice about them. So it's for our own self. What can we do to be like that? Like, you know, do I just do some stretches every day so my body's open? Or
well, the only thing that I say here as a coach is find your resources, meaning the stuff that makes you feel good. And it's usually not just one, it's more. And whichever you feel like using or engaging with that day, maybe sometimes it's reading, sometimes it's belly dancing, sometimes it's breath work, sometimes it's just jumping, you know, doing the jump rope and all of that. So that's definitely your way to go. Every day you use one of the resources, you feel good, open energy, open vibe, open everything, increased receptivity, and therefore, bam, highly dateable person.
yes,
Not
yes.
like bam, okay, because sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. I have those heavy days also.
Yeah.
And it's important to allow yourself to be heavy some days, like some days I call myself Morticia Adams. It's like I have this cloud over my head and it just rains and there's lightning and everything, thunder, and it's like no dates, nobody today. I'm just in my world. So you have those days, so engage with them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, Debra, awesome conversation. I'm super curious what people are gonna say, because I do.
Yes, me too. Because we could have dived deeper into certain things, but I think we wanted to help out everyone and and stay positive and good vibration with the video. But I'd love to read all the comments and see where people are like with dating right now.
Yeah. And if need be, we can go the Joe Rogan style. We'll have a podcast like 3 hours long and we can talk a lot more. But until that day comes, we can just see how people react. What is their, what comes up for them, what questions they have. And we'll consider doing part 2. We did have another topic, so there's probably going to be a part 2, but maybe we'll also have questions to answer. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think. Until then, you can find Debra at solotantra.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And my YouTube channel is Debra Wilder Meditation, or if you just look up Solo Tantra on YouTube. I haven't been doing very much with it the last 6 months or so during summer, but I have some videos that might help people.
Yeah.
And you can send me questions or comments through my website.
Yeah, so we're gonna link both channels in the description. You can definitely find Debra in all the places she's at. And you can find me at lianabuza.com or on this channel. So see you around here with more videos. And until we meet again, Debra, I wish you a great summer still. And I really hope to see you in person. Like whenever the world opens up, I hope I can travel and have a radiance meditation with you live.
Oh, good. Yes, I hope so too. That's something to look forward to.
Definitely.
Or have a workshop or meet at a workshop with everyone here.
That'll be something. Talk about dreams. Okay. Definitely.
Yeah, we can just skip all of the dating and all the single people can meet each other there.
Yeah.
That's a little scary, but
Cupid's on duty. Okay. We'll hook everybody up in the long term. Okay. So great to see you. Enjoy your day and see you soon.
See you soon.